Alright everyone, now let's understand how basically React Redux works. So this will be very short video, but we should know some of the very basic things. So I think we already installed all the dependencies. So the first thing you need to know the API overview of this particular Redux. You can see that they are providing this particular provider component, and now what this does basically, this works like a higher order component. Now what this will do, this will makes your Redux store available to the rest of your app. Now to give this one a clean example, if I just go to our index.js, and you'll see that we have imported this browser router from React Router DOM, and this is the same thing what they have done in this particular Redux provider. So that is similarly another component that Redux will provide. Now what this will do basically, this will connect your React components with the Redux store. So that is simple as that. What you have to do basically, you just have to import this provider from React Redux, and then you have to create your store, and this is your global store. So all the reducer actions, Saga, every logic will be written here. Now whenever you will pass this one here as a value basically, so this is a component you have to pass as a props. Now all the stored properties will be accessible to the app component. Now this app component is basically the root component of your application. All right, so this is the first step what you have to do. Second thing is that this React Redux will provide some of the hooks that will make your life very easier. So the two important hooks that we will be using throughout this application, and that is use dispatch and use selector. Now use dispatch is basically used to dispatch a particular action from component to your Redux action component. So for example, let's say I have this notes component, and now what I want to do, on click of this particular add to do, whatever value I have entered, I want to pass this value to my action. Now how basically you can do that? So for that, what you have to do, you have to just import this use dispatch method from React Redux, and then you just have to pass your action inside of this. Now what this will do, this will basically dispatch your action from this component to your Redux store. All right, so this is the second thing. And the third thing is that use selector. Now use selector is basically used to extract your state value from your store. You can see that what they are doing, they're basically getting the count value from the Redux store back to your components. Now to give you one example, for let's say we have given some particular value here. All right, so now once I'll click on add to do, first what it will do, that dispatch method will dispatch this value to Redux action, and from action it will go to Saga. I think this all we already discussed while discussing React Redux flow in our presentational video. Now once it will go to Saga, it will call the API to our Firebase real-time database, and then once it will get the response back, whatever response we will be getting, we will be passing the data back to our action, and from action it will go to reducer. Now what you have to do, from that reducer you have to get the data back to your component, right? Or else if you don't get the data back to your component, how you will render it here? So you have to get the data back, and to get the data back or to extract data from Redux store, you have to use this particular hook, and that is use selector. Now whenever you'll pass the reducer value here, it will give you the value from the store. So these two very important hooks you need to know. So this is very basics how basically you can work with React Redux. All right, now there is another thing, that if you don't want to use hooks, there is another way of doing that, and that is to connect API. Now what this is basically does, this will give you two properties or basically method. So the first one is map state to props, and the second one is map dispatch to props. Now what this will do basically, this is basically works as the same like use dispatch and use selector. So map state to props is basically give you the data back from Redux store, and dispatch to props, as the name suggests, it will dispatch your action from component to your Redux store. And then to connect both, or basically to connect your component to its Redux store, you have to use this connect API. And if I just go here, and you will see that, let me just go scroll down, and all right, and you can see that what they are doing, they are getting the data back from state, and from dispatch is basically the action creators, or basically dispatching your actions to the Redux store. And at the end, see what they're doing, they're connecting to the store, and for that they're using this connect method from React Redux, and then you just have to pass this map state to props and map dispatch to props. And what it will do, this will connect your component with your Redux store, and you can easily like communicate between your component and the Redux store. So these all are the very basics how React and Redux works. So I'll just recap everything once. So the first thing what you have to do, you have to create your root store, and then you have to import that provider component. All right, and then you have to wrap your root component inside that provider so that all the Redux functionality will be accessible in your component. The next thing is that because we will be much focusing on hooks part, so we will be learning the hooks. So for that we have to, as we already discussed, that we will be using that use dispatch and use selector method, and to connect between your component to your Redux store, what you have to do to dispatch any action, you have to use that use dispatch method, and to get data back from your Redux store, you have to use the use selector method. So that's all. Now in the next video, what we will be learning how basically Redux Saga works, and for that we will be explaining this very simple beginner tutorial they have given in the official documentation. Let's do that in the next video.